little deeper in color right off the bat. So this is the 2008 Brooks. I guess we should tell them what it is.
Yeah.
2008 Brooks Sweet P Riesling. This is fruit that's been sourced it's a single vineyard Riesling, we should say, from the Highland Vineyard. We make about 120 cases of it. It is around the high 8% for alcohol. Yeah, or no, 9.8. So, but definitely has a little bit of residual sugar in it.
And I want to make a couple points here, kind of going back to people who've been watching for a while in regard to the Highland Vineyard. We tasted a Riesling from there in a previous episode, and also in regard to previous episodes, I've made remarks in the past about there being interesting things going on in different Rieslings. It'd be really nice to see people going for a little more sweetness and seeing how the fruit developed in that sense. That's exactly what's going on here. This is a little more on the richer side, kind of like a Spätlese level Riesling, and I'm really interesting to see, you know, how the fruit from here expresses itself when done in that style.
Absolutely. Well said. See, now this is more perfumey.
I totally agree.
This has got way more interesting characters going on in the nose. Like the floral thing is quite strong here, along with like
rich apples, almost like apples baked into a pastry or something like that.
Apples and like some melons too, like.
Oh
a
yeah,
little bit of cantaloupe.
I totally agree.
Yeah, so.
Wow, nice. I couldn't put my finger on that at all.
Yeah.
It's totally cantaloupe.
Yeah, it smells really nice. Yeah, no, that's really good. So, where this one gets off as opposed to the Cove is that the acidity here is fantastic. Fantastically paired with the rest of the fruit flavors. The fruit flavors are very full and very delicious, but yet there's acidity backing everything up throughout the entire experience and into the finish.
And it's light. It's delicate.
It dances, yes.
Yeah, and you know, I make reference to acidity being heavier sometimes, and it's really hard to explain that properly. But maybe pay attention to it as you're drinking. Maybe some of you have had that experience. You're like, yeah, the different feelings of acidity on the mouth, and I'm sure some of that has to do with the winemaking, how it's blended, and different aspects of the wine. But there definitely is a noticeable difference, and this is a lighter, brighter style of acidity that I'm really partial to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's So we talk about Riesling. We've talked about this before in the past. It's like sometimes you get a Riesling where each time you sort of take a drink of it, you get a little bit of a grin.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes it's a full-on like laughing, huge smile ear to ear. This one definitely provides a bit of a smile. Like, there's no question that each time you taste it, it's like, yeah, it's nice.
Slowly dries out. You know, there's some rich apple flavors, and as a bit of that sweetness sets in at the end, it's striking me more like some really like perfectly ripe pears. You get a little bit of that like sweet pear juice, kind of on the back end of the mouth. The melon doesn't come through on the palate so much.
No, not so much either. And there is some sort of like, I hate to, or I don't like, I mean, I just don't use the word minerality much, but there is something going on in the finish that sort of reminds me of like stones or maybe even metal.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting, very interesting. So.
Yeah, interesting, good fruit, clean all the way across.
Yeah.
And yeah, and some somewhat unique flavors too. As I've had Riesling from different places around the world,
like a changing palate.
Yeah,
a little evolution going on through the finish, into the finish. So.
Yeah, there is something going on here that's enjoyable and interesting, and I'm digging it.
Easy to drink. Yeah.
89 points for me. What was the price again?
So this one's $21. So yeah, go back through it. 11, 16, and 21. So
nice.
Kind of up the spectrum for Oregon Rieslings. Like this is definitely near the higher end, like one of the most highest you're going to pay for. Once you start getting over 20 and it's Oregon Riesling, it's
But totally hits it at the price point again.
Absolutely.
I'd say if you can see it, check it out, pick it up. I think it's really good. I'm definitely going to be drinking more of it myself. And
I would have to say that this is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Oregon Riesling that I've ever had. For my palate, I'm going to go 90 points on it because really it hits all the right points for Riesling for me. It's a little bit sweet, it's got great acidity, it's got fantastic flavor on the palate. I mean, the perfumey, sort of cantaloupe-y, there's many different flavors you could sort of pick out of it. And with that little hint of minerality on the finish, I like it a lot. So 90 points for me, and that's easy. And I would be safe to say that This is probably my favorite Oregon Riesling, or tied. You know, it's very close. So you should definitely check it out. So.
Yeah, and it's number 2 for me behind another one of their bottlings, which I'm sure we'll do on a show before too long. So, yeah, definitely. Actually, I'm quite pleased by the show in general, especially by this. I kind of had pretty low expectations for this, because seen it around a lot and had like some other wines by them I haven't been too excited about. But they're doing a decent job, and
it showed pretty well considering the price point. I would definitely seek it out. And David's completely right when he says that that's a decent representation of Oregon Riesling that you can get anywhere. So, yeah, check it out.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to exploring, more Oregon wines and other wines from around the world. Oh yeah, I got to do that. So the weather here has been really crazy for the past couple of days. People that live in Oregon, I know there's a bunch of you watching that do, have been really frustrated that the rain's been continuing into late May. And I was just curious, as a point of comparison, and B, as a way to get all of you new fans who haven't been participating onto the boards. It's a really easy one. What's the weather like where you live? Let us know what it's like where you're at. We'll get an idea of who's watching. We'll get some comparisons to make us Oregonians feel bad about how it's still wet, and maybe a couple that make us feel a little bit better. So, see you next week.
Yep. Bye, guys.